Snap, crackle, pop. Sounds like those cereal mascots way back when, right? Well, yeah. Those are the names of cereal mascots, but those are also three sounds that persist in the heads of most of the mushroomers now, and won't be forgotten anytime soon. Unfortunately, for no good reason. If you want the reason, read on. Looking at the Mushroom Kingdom now, it's hard to believe that once, or ever, it was the Model Kingdom, a place that every video game location took tips from, wanted to be. To put it bluntly, the Mushroom Kingdom today is nowhere near the vibrant, chipper happy land it was back in '85. Ever since the king of the Mushroom Kingdom fell in battle to Bowser and his many army of minions, everything went straight to hell. Crime, death, fighting, and jaywalking are just the half of it. And if the ancient prophecies foretold in the stars is anything to go off of, soon, not even that will matter. Hell, nothing will matter anymore. The Mario Bros. And every character from that series belong to Nintendo. I'm not cool enough to be copyrighted. Mushroom Kingdom, date, October 12th, 2017, time, 12 p.m.
Well, we're completely fucked.
For once in his life, Mario was in total agreement with his brother. Well, it was well too late for most people, but insomniacs and night watchmen on a normal day. Today was anything but a normal day. No, it would be a day that would forever change the fortunes of the Mushroom Kingdom for the worse. One that would prove to be the worst Thursday they'd ever had. Between the shouts of war and struggle, the cracking noises of cannons and other firearms rippling through the normally tranquil noises of nighttime, the generous heaping of thick, wide-spreading, dark black smoke rising through the air, and the snarling, wisecracking, plucky members of both teams now fighting with extreme spirit and horrifying efficiency. One thing was very obvious. Bowser had attacked. After over 30 years, it may not seem like much, seem like such a major revelation. For the most part, you'd be correct. After so long, Bowser's drawn-out, elaborate, and relentless attacks and kidnappings had become known to the Mushroomers as Friday. Aside from the fact that today was a Thursday, another significant difference was present, and one that was becoming more and more obvious by the minute, as the sounds and gruesome sights of battle were starting to show.
Yep,
Grumbled Mario.
we are so fucked.
As he was speaking, a severed, bloody, and frowning toad head whizzed past their house with a bright red streak glistening in the air, right behind it before the unmistakable red substance splattered and spread on the floor with a grisly splat, dyeing the floor a deathly red. Indeed, the major difference between this war and other Mushroom Kingdom versus Dark World confrontations was now pretty obvious. Bowser's army was winning. Maybe it was the fact the Mushroom Army had been taken by surprise. Maybe they had simply upped their game, whatever the hell the reason. The result was identical. The Mario Bros. Were starting to doubt if the Mushroom Kingdom was going to escape this one. And from the looks of it, and the blood splattering on the side of their house like a loose paint can sent flying, that was far-fetched at best. With a heart-crushing sigh, Mario turned to Luigi and their adopted pet and adopted son, Yoshi, with a mutual, easily noticed despair in their eyes.
Well, Mario, this might be the end.
Mario groaned and slumped in his chair, the soft cushion sagging underneath him, searching for something positive to say.
Yep, it probably is.
Judging from what Mario had just said, he seemed to have run out of confidence. Luigi mumbled and slumped down in the green chair next to Mario, staring at their clock, counting the almost mesmerizing tick-tock of the moving hands. Yoshi simply slumped on the floor in front of them.
And I never even got to third base.
Added the portly plumber. Even in his drooping spirits, Luigi managed an eye roll. Just how, thought Luigi, how did Bowser and his army of lowlives get this kind of power? 1 hour earlier,
Men!
the unmistakable voice of authority rippled through the eerie, chilling hallways of the aged, yet still towering and menacing landmark of the Dark World, the castle of the king itself. It was a voice that made even Bowser's most confirmed of slackers and the most notorious sharply awaken and snap their necks in the direction of the booming noise. This was the voice of King Bowser Koopa. This was no ordinary speech, though, for earlier that day, Bowser, on a normal, everyday nap in the backyard of his castle, technically needed repairs, but Mario and Co. had blasted it to bits so many times that fixing it had become meaningless.
Might as well enjoy myself before attacking the Mushroom Kingdom again.
murmured Bowser, popping his ass on the chair and snapping open a Koopa Cola and an issue of his annual pornography magazine, Booty Frenzy. He sniffed the relatively peaceful air, savoring its hot, smoky scent. Life was good. The familiar hissing and crackling sound of a freshly opened Koopa Cola classic bottle would only serve to raise Bowser's spirit.
To me.
As he said this, the King of Koopas kicked his feet back and did an imaginary toast with his bottle and began spraying it in his mouth, before proceeding with a sitcom-style spit take, noisily splattering bizarrely crunchy greenish liquid all over the floor, quickly getting absorbed in the ground. With a vicious snarl and grinding teeth, Bowser violently wiped the foul liquid off his mouth and then squeezed his cola bottle with his hand.
Ugh, I forgot how awful this shit tastes.
Yelled Bowser, unclenching his fist to allow the destroyed bottle to hit the floor. He proceeded to fold his arms, expecting to hear an explosive crash on the floor. Weirdly, one never came, aside from a brief grunt in confusion and an arched eyebrow from Bowser. No reaction at first. Later, he began to get confused.
Okay. Oh, that's Mario. Fuck. No. Okay, what the hell gives?
Said Mario's most frequent adversary in an exasperated tone, throwing his hands up in the air as
retarded,
well.
man.
Furrowing his brow, he bent down low to examine.
Oh my god. Holy.
Bowser never finished his sentence, for the remains of the doomed Koopa Cola bottle had landed on a fragment of a star buried in the ground. One that was glowing with unmistakable power. Naturally, this wiped Bowser's miserable mood away like a broom wipes dust away.
Awesome.
Yelled Bowser, swiping the fragment with one fell swoop. The 30 years plus running villain picked up his star with the gentlest of hands, taking but a moment to marvel at its sheer beauty.
Now let's give this a try.
Putting words to action, Bowser shoved the star fragment into his chest, ignoring the pain and absorbing the star's power.
Yes, yes, yes.
Maniacally chattered the Koopa King. The power of the star had now given him a brief yellow flashing glow, before it dissipated. The power? Still, had it. You can just feel it when you've gotten even greater power than you normally do.
Oh my god, how many lines do I fucking have? And that's why I'm sure we are going to show those Mushroom King smartasses what for this time.
Yelled Bowser at the top of his lungs. Now, he had gotten his whole army in a frenzy, hollering and yelling at the top of their lungs, throwing bottles, etc.
Now are all of you ready? Yes!
No.
Are you sure?
This time, the army's shouts of
Yes!
were
Yes.
so high
Yes,
the dogs
nigga.
could hear them.
Then let's go.
Back to the present, the Mario Bros felt all but helpless. The only thing left for them to do was watch as their people kept getting slaughtered. Finally, the moment they'd been dreading came. Bam! With a resounding explosion that rattled and shook the floorboards and sent heat and smoke hissing into their house. Yoshi ran and hid under a table while the boys took cover behind their chairs as a large firewall swept through the house like a big yellow ball of death, incinerating much of what they called home for so many years. Even with their chairs to protect them, Mario and Luigi still felt the fire heat. You fucking cunt.
Fucking cunt.
And hot wind as it whizzed past their faces, causing them to shield their eyes with pure agony. As the explosion died out, Mario dared to peek out.
Balls.
Ruined everything. Gone. Well, not quite. But most of the stuff that was still intact was burning to a crisp and well on their way to destruction, consumed by unnaturally long, orange-yellowish flames that vividly seemed to hiss and snap at them. That description also applied to their whole house. The flames were so thick they blocked off the sight of everything outside the house and even above the house. And yes, it was a scene quite comparable to that place you went when you died. Not heaven, the opposite. Felt those smoky lava pits and suffering and torture. Luigi murmured, perfectly summing it up. Even amidst all those flames, now two sledge bros were crawling through a gap in the hellish flames. Their purpose was clear, even before they announced it. Your time is up, Mario Bros. They squinted underneath the table. And your dinosaur or dragon? While they were thinking, Luigi turned to Mario, a sense of renewed confidence in his face.
So, Mario, does it really have to end like this?
Took the mustachioed Mickey Mouse of gaming
Huh?
second to catch his drift. When he did, though, all his fear dissipated, wiped out of existence and replaced with a smug grin.
Mickey Mouse Gaming.
No.
Mario lifted himself out and with a swift "come here" wave, he motioned Yoshi over. And all three of them stood up and faced the Sledge Bros in a badass combat pose, ready to go.
Not at all.
The Sledge Bros stopped worrying about whether Yoshi was a dino or a dragon and got into a similarly epic combat pose. All was still for a few more seconds. The teams stared each other down. The hissing, snapping flames added a bit of atmosphere to the showdown, illuminating the combat scene. A few more seconds passed.
Hold on. There's, hey, Toilet, do you want to do Yoshi?
Yoshi.
Toilet?
Rar XD. Oh, he's gone. We're leaving this in the video. We're leaving this in the video. We're leaving this in the video. Yo, man, it's coming down. Yoshi.
You want to do Yoshi, Toilet?
You want to do Yoshi's Toilet? You want to do Yoshi's Toilet?
No.
No. That's too bad, Negro.
What the
Oh my god.
Alright,
Are
so
we still going?
Yeah, man, we're still going.
bruh.
Alright, who's gonna do Yoshi then?
Yoshi. Nigga balls.
If I say Yoshi, I'm gonna say, yo, what's up, my Yoshi?
Yeah,
All
Black
right,
Yoshi,
go ahead.
Black Yoshi.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, Black
do
Yoshi.
it.
Hey, yo, what's up, my Yoshi?
So, are we gonna fight or not, Daddy Mario?
Daddy.
Mario sighed.
Oh, well.
No.
The Sledge Bros were naturally overjoyed. They looked and nodded. Let's bum rush these fools.
Oh,
Two
yeah.
broke into a surprisingly fast sprint.
Can you shut the fuck up?
That's
That's you, Saint.
yeah, that's Mario.
Yeah, but who the hell keeps doing that weird noise though?
Snake.
These nuts?
Shut the fuck up.
Man,
Okay, now
kind of mean.
let's bum rush these fools. What the fuck?
No,
did I say
no,
like
no,
Oh,
that?
you're
that's
on.
not you, you're
We are going to obliterate.
You didn't say we're going. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's where you are.
We're going to obliterate you.
Dude, I'm retarded.
No, that's too
You
high
need to
up.
say we're not gonna go on to fight.
We're not gonna
You
fight.
just said
I know, that's my bad, that's my bad.
Yeah, I
we're
got.
not gonna fight.
The first of the Sledge Bros had reached Mario by now, panting. That was clearly overridden by a feeling of pride, made all the more obvious by the knockout. The fist he was currently winding up, with a more and more threatening spinning sound the faster he wound up. Finally finished, with a heave, he threw his fist at the legend's face.
That's
Wait.
the Hammer Bros. Hammer Bros. Like,
Mario.
Yeah,
yo,
that's
man.
the hammer. We
Oh.
did this yesterday. Yeah, it's supposed to be the Hammer Bros.
Well, why do they have an A then?
I don't know, because that's Mario and Luigi's thing in this. The author of this is retarded anyway.
Yeah.
We are
Yeah,
going to obliterate. Not only was this line complimented by a Vegeta-esque smirk, but Mario lifted up his hand and swung out with a punch of his own, matching the Sledge Bros. The two punches solidly collided at the same time, shaking both off a bit, but creating an awesome sounding, if I do say so myself, impact hit. Recognizing he couldn't overpower the Sledge Bro, Mario decided to press his superior speed, uncurling with a vicious flurry of punches. Success. The Sledge Bro, not being fast enough, took a solid right cross to the temple. It was a perfect impact. One of those hard ones with an audible crack that made the eyes bug out. With but a single gasp and some blood splattering behind him to leave some lovely red marks on the burning floor, Bowser's hapless minion tumbled down, flat on his back.
I love you, baby.
Luigi.
Who's saying that?
No one?
Yes, we do know who it is.
It's
Just
you,
keep going. Just
Saint.
keep going. Just keep going.
Stop,
Luigi and
stop
Yoshi,
with the noises.
inspired by Mario's actions, decided to gang up on the second Sledge Bro, the former jumping up with a charged up punch, and the latter preparing to use a tongue attack. All the other Sledge Bro could say, "Mommy."
Mommy.
Yoshi struck first, alternating positions with Luigi in a crisscross formation. Yoshi stuck out with his signature, wrapping his freak of nature tongue around the poor Sledge Bro's body and pulling him up. and right into Luigi's charged up fist, smashing his nose in with a crunch and coating his fist dark red with the Sledge Bro's blood. The Sledge Bro flew downstairs until his dead body met the floor with a resounding kablam and a crater being formed. Yoshi and Luigi, meanwhile, made a perfect landing, all legs on the floor, and faced the screen, and gave some poses to the audience in celebration, running up to Mario. The trio all gave a super high five, celebrating their triumph.
Yup, we're back in business.
Said Mario.
Yoshi, Yoshi.
Okay, what's the next order of business? Yoshi was interrupted by Luigi, grabbing onto the saddle and swinging expertly on like it was a rodeo, plopping his ass on perfectly, causing Yoshi to briefly yelp and pop up in the air a bit. But he swiftly snapped his head to attention, staring at both his masters with a steely yet obedient glare, showing how determined he was to listen and follow out his master's every order.
Master.
Luigi cleared his throat a few times. In that time, Mario had thrusted himself onto Yoshi's back as well, except with a much uglier motion, finally landing hard on his saddle, causing the poor Dino to begin struggling to hold up the weight. Luigi.
Next order. Get the fuck out.
Those forceful words were Luigi's, and indeed, Yoshi kicked a blue shell from his vast collection of memorabilia from past adventures, flipping up perfectly in the air, and spun around, catching it upside down.
Mario.
Yoshi went through a dramatic transformation with an unmistakable bright glow emitting from his body, an intensely blinding one that made the brothers gasp and cover their eyes. The glow also created a pretty cool silhouette. Yoshi was taking it all in. The smiling Dino now formed his body into a T shape as the transformation completed.
Beep.
He was now able to fly. Yoshi floated around briefly, sighing at the memories from Mario World. With a gasp, he remembered what he had to do, and flew out
Let's
just
go.
in time, as now, their house was completely gone. Just a big, hellish fireball.
God damn.
Luigi sniffed and got out a tissue. Years of memory gone, just like that.
Well,
Responded the portly plumber with a sigh.
what's done is done. It's all over.
Hammer rudely interrupted the depression of the Mario Bros, swishing past them with a very loud whoosh, causing a big splash of air that caused the Mario Bros to nearly lose their balance. The most iconic gaming character of all time decided to take a quick peek, squinting at the carnage below. The soon-to-be victims of the trio were Hammer Bro, stretching his skinny arms back and forth, and a Shy Guy standing on his head, holding a bomb and fidgeting, sweating up a storm, barely holding the bomb with his shuddering, pale hands. Hammer Bro was not scared, though. Quite the opposite. He was really exercising his vocal cords. Come on, Mario Bros. He's gonna take that, pussies. This is our kingdom now, fools.
Fuck you.
That settled it. Mario and Luigi turned and nodded. In another moment of brotherly unison, slowly, the former flipped direction and brushed his finger hard upon Yoshi's chest. His message was clear. Attack. Leave not a survivor. Yoshi didn't dilly-dally either. He rose up for a very brief period and flew down hard. Some onlookers would later compare Yoshi's flight to that of a missile, a big green destructive missile.
North
Hammer
Korea.
Bros stopped speaking, but the smug grin was still present. He was still on the end of a losing battle. But suddenly, Fireball crashed on the bomb the Shy Guy was holding just before the impact, instantly exploding both the Hammer Bro and the Shy Guy. The providing sign was the blood and limbs flying out of the deathly explosion. Yoshi failed to notice, and he kept on going, finally crashing into the ground, head first, with a yelp, signifying he realized too late. Not very long afterwards, squeaky footsteps were heard approaching their direction. When the figure showed up, its identity was revealed. It was their good friend, Toad himself, with a fire flower in his hands.
No one's gonna do Toad.
Well,
透气道，平常气道，
Dang, alright, well...
透气道。
Who's gonna... No one's doing Toad?
Yeah, Toad's
Toilet
gay.
was supposed to do him.
Toad's like,
No.
oh, ting dong, da da dee,
What's
Toad.
Toilet
What
doing?
happened to Toilet?
Toilet, unmute yourself.
Toilet,
yourself.
unmute
I mean,
yourself.
Cringe, Toilet.
Yeah.
Damn, Toilet. Someone
Honestly,
ping him.
do it, man.
Yeah.
Oh, he's back, he's back.
Yeah, I'm back.
Alright.
Hey,
Oh, dude,
I'm
if
back.
you're back, it's your line. Like, Wade, yelled Toad. Unsurprisingly, he'd come up with the idea to fight well before the Marios did.
Maybe.
Snake.
That is so creepy. This is wow.
Imagine just Toad talking about how evil he is, and there's some random guy jerking off in the background.
Yeah, man. Come on.
That's
I'm getting off to
disturbing.
this, man. I'm getting off. Come on,
Hey,
keep
chill.
talking. Keep talking!
He had always been the one to show the least amount of fear in situations that would otherwise scare the crap out of most people. He was far less forgiving, more... Oh,
Yo, you reading the wrong one.
yeah, that's because you keep interrupting.
No,
Bit
no.
of backstory here. Toad, the most well-known of the Shrooms, was the first person to greet the Mario Bros when they came into the Mushroom Kingdom so many years ago, and had remained their best friend ever since. He had always been the one to show the least amount of fear in situations that would otherwise scare the crap out of most people. He was far less forgiving, more willing to kill than the Bros, and always ready for a good fight. This was all accompanied by a single, perpetual smug grin, the same he was flashing as he waltzed up to the brothers.
I've been waiting for you, Joe.
He fidgeted, one foot behind the other, searching for more words. Luigi stepped in for him.
Glad to see you well, Toad.
You know me so well.
That was Mario.
Hold on. How about we stop talking and keep fighting?
Suggested Mario. Toad flashed a grin at the Mario Bros.
You know me so well.
And rushed through the oncoming hordes of Bowser's minions, separating paths briefly. Mario leaped over a Goomba's pathetic charge, grabbed the Goomba by the top of his head, and with an effortless yet strength-exposing flex of his well-toned arms, the Goomba found himself face first in the dirt, now stained with his own red, salty blood. That did not conclude the beating, as now Mario followed up with his signature Goomba stomp, cracking all of the bones of the downed enemy and crushing his back and skin into a deathly red paste. Toad dove towards a Koopa Troopa, the latter of whom could only utter a brief gasp before getting grasped in a chokehold. This was already quite nasty, but instead of following through with the choking, Toad settled on squeezing his prey's neck harder,
Squeeze it, baby.
causing the...
Damn it, I can't do this if you're gonna be doing that shit, bro.
Yeah, Snake, you gotta stop, man.
Dude, I will stop if you like, I'm genuinely serious. Like, stop. It's getting annoying. You're on speaker. I haven't eaten for 3 hours.
causing the Koopa's face to quiver more and more as his head swelled more and more. Until finally, with a final squeeze of passion, the Koopa's head popped like a water balloon, flinging brain matter, blood, and skull fragments in all directions, including the Mushroomers' face. Not that he gave a damn, rather, he thought the dripping red body fluid splattered over his face added an extra layer of menace to his appearance. Indeed, with a cruel grin on his face, Toad now actually looked pretty scary, and many of the minions were backing away in horror. Luigi and Yoshi, meanwhile, stuck together on Yoshi's back. Nintendo's eternal whipping boy got out his hammer. With a battle cry, he began timing his shots to clash with Bowser's aerial troops, akin to an expert display of polo. Try as Bowser's underlings may, none of the Koopa Paratroopas, Paragoombas, Fly Guys, Bullet Bills, etc. would taste anything but a hard hammer to the face, blood in their mouths, and maybe the remnants of whatever weapon they were holding prior to their smackdown. As the last of the Fly Guys fell, Luigi turned to Yoshi, and they cheered. Right around then, all four of the heroes crossed paths again.
I forgot how good it felt to fight.
Luigi slapped 5 with Toad.
One little schedule becoming a pet out.
They turned towards all the minions, and in a back-to-back formation, Bowser's foolish minions were shut down by the bros, Toad and Yoshi with little effort. You think someone's missing from this fight? Well, you aren't the only one. Meanwhile, amidst all the struggling and chaos, there was one conspicuous absence from this not-so-joyous occasion. Though everyone was much too preoccupied to take notice, Bowser. He didn't miss the party, though. Far from it. In fact, the party was about to go in full swing. While his troops were clashing with the Mushroomers, Bowser had snuck in, through the path of least resistance, right into the castle of the Toadstool Castle, effortlessly sneaking through the doors without so much as a raised eyebrow in the castle's direction. In fact, none of the competent warriors were in the castle. They'd all rushed out to join in the Great Mushroom War of 2017. Bowser smirked, unable to believe how easily he snuck in.
Pathetic.
He grumbled. At the same time, he wasn't stalling. As he immediately walked towards the throne room, he expected an easy stroll. It was even easier than he thought. The only people in his way were some weak mushroom retainers who tried with no avail to shove him away. Their weak muscles bulged as far as they possibly could, with arms thrusting out, propelling the next retainer in line further. To try to shove the kingdom's biggest threat far away. Ultimately, it was a wasted effort. Not even that. That would be generous. Bowser would not be denied. The king grumbled and looked at his watch.
Ay caramba.
The Koopa King shook his sad, lumbering head and deduced it was time to put an end to this party. He grasped the first mushroomer with his head, who was so locked into his feeble attempt at offense that he didn't even notice his impending doom just as well. Bowser turned around, grunted, and with a razor-sharp noise, and with the precision and accuracy only a seasoned expert could have, he launched a single spike out of his shell, landing squarely on the floor. Then, he squeezed the retainer into the shape of a bowling ball, and with a sickly crunch, shattering nearly every fragile bone in his body, and took a few steps, flinging it just like a bowling ball. The retainer rolled on the razor-sharp spike fist, ripping through his skin in several places, killing him instantly and reddening the ball. Carnage didn't end here, for now. While his body left a flowing red trail of blood and intestines behind it, he would hit every other retainer in the line, knocking them over like bowling pins. Before finally, the retainer's horrifically mangled corpse fell down to a screeching halt, face down, with the remainder of the blood bleeding out and forming a huge, red, thick puddle around the corpse. The king's fist pumped in celebration.
Strike! You're out.
Bowser chortled heartily at the mess in front of him.
Normally I suck at bowling.
He murmured to himself. He advanced toward the roof of the castle. By the time he reached the top, there were organs in his hand, and his head was stained with mushroom gore. Those were the least of Bowser's concerns, though, because now he stood face to face with the Mushroom King. If I could just kill him, the battle would be won. Wait. Ow. Those bastards will have no choice but to surrender, echoed the Koopa clan leader's thoughts.
Wait, there's no quotation marks around that.
Yeah, there's no quotation marks. So, I don't know, I'm pretty sure I would just read the thoughts.
Alright.
Opposite of Bowser lay his foe, the Mushroom King, King Toadstool himself. Despite normally being quite ditzy and non-serious, the king was able to immediately understand that this was it, and assumed a vicious battle stance. For a moment, all was still. The two kings glared at each other, nothing but pure hatred in their eyes. The king took a few valiant steps toward the giant beast in front of him, seemingly unfaltered. A storm was beginning to brew up above them, as a cracking sound of thunder wasn't far off in the dark and gloomy sky.
You know, I don't have to slaughter you in cold blood,
said Bowser.
Just take the easy way out and surrender your sappy kingdom to me, the King of Awesome, or the hard way, and pay the consequences.
Now, you could ask just about anyone who knew the Mushroom King, and they would tell you he was scatterbrained, dim-witted, and several other nastier remarks other members in the Mushroom Kingdom made behind his back. All true, in most cases. But now, faced with mortal danger, King seemed to be a different person entirely. All the fear that should have been there did not exist. The opposite, in fact. He couldn't have possibly looked more confident, as he was still steadily approaching the mortal enemy of the kingdom, and now slowly reaching behind the back of his robe. This was his kingdom, his land. He would do all he could for it, and it was then that the Mushroom King finally spoke.
I don't believe in easy, nor do I believe in surrender.
Without even giving Bowser time to process those awesome words, King Toadstool followed up with another shocking reveal. The item he had been grasping for was in fact an antique samurai sword he kept hidden in a traditional sheath he had been instructed by his father to use only for emergency purposes. Well, if this wasn't an emergency, nothing was. Swish. At once, King Toadstool uncurled with a vicious upwards cut, which dug through Bowser's skin and ended right before his neck, a detail he would vividly and enthusiastically recall for a while afterwards. The gaping wound forced out a moderate quantity of gore, some of which splattered beyond the Mushroom King, except for some that splattered on the front of him. Bowser staggered backwards a bit, trying to regain his composure. By this point, there were no sets of eyes on the ground that weren't now staring up at the top of Princess Peach's castle. Everyone previously occupied with a life-and-death battle temporarily relented, diverting their focus to the clash between the two kings.
Mario, that's
Shit.
behind.
Mario looked up, wide-eyed, although only the silhouettes of both Bowser and King Toadstool were visible, despite the frequent flashes of lightning helping somewhat to illuminate the duel. The movement between the two made it clear what was going on. Who's gonna be Peach?
No!
Murmured fair Princess Peach, currently handcuffed by a charging Chuck, with nothing to do but watch and pray. Bowser, still clearly shocked and in pain, backed up a bit, now flailing close to the edge of the castle walls and waving his arms and staggering.
So that's how it's gonna be, huh?
Even in his current condition, Bowser hadn't lost the unmistakable arrogance in his voice. The reply never came. The Mushroom King lashed out again. Bowser parried with a rising claw. Bam! Bang! Clang! Bowser threw a left hook, and the king countered again. The process repeated itself, bit by bit, until now they were both standing on level ground again. They both pressed on the offense, slashing, parrying, and neither were going to give in. The king found an opening. After a horribly whiffed uppercut, King Toadstool stabbed Bowser in the chest. He cut upwards. He removed the sword and tackled Bowser to the floor. Well, this is it, thought Bowser, now lying face down. The king seemed to know it too. He was now readying the decapitation blow. Down below, Bowser's army seemed absolutely horrified, some already weeping. If their king was slain, there would be no more they could do. Absolutely wasn't true in the case of the Mushroomers, who were cheering and whooping like they never had before. Bowser felt just as hopeless as his minions. A whole lifetime of memories began flowing through his head, but were interrupted by a very clever brainstorm. Quickly, he ducked into his shell as King Toadstool unleashed his murder blow. The shell blocked it, and King Toadstool stumbled briefly. And just like that, the Mushroomers stood jaw-dropped, and Bowser's army looked up, fist-pumping and cheering. Bowser swiftly pulled up the king by his collar, with a nasty rip down the front of the robe, audible to both of them. Bowser paid no mind, and winded up his signature punch, smacking the king cleanly in his regal face, sending him weakly sprawling across to the floor.
Yeah.
The Mushroom King struggled to pick himself up,
Let's
regained
see
his
what's going
bearings.
on here.
Wait, stop. What are you doing?
His vision was blurring, and he began to see a few more stars in the sky. He got kicked squarely on the side, tumbled across to the side of the castle again. Groaning, he held up his hand on the back of the crumbling support pillar. This time, there was an even fainter attempt at recovery. It was clear the life was sapping from his body rapidly. The toads down below crossed their fingers, hoping for a miracle. So far, Bowser was now knocking the Mushroom King around like a rag doll, so the odds seemed limited at best. Bowser grabbed him again and pounded at his chest a final time, with a loud snap. The bruised and bloody king had the taste of blood running across his mouth. He barely looked up as Bowser stood above him, with a gesture that made it clear the battle was over.
Well, looks like this is how it ends here, Palio.
Bowser chuckled heartily and continued to advance.
I'll try not to ruin your precious tie with this blow job.
Bowser heavily slashed downwards, slicing through the king's shoulder, only briefly stopping at the first, second, and third ribs, with a resounding crackle. And that was that. The Mushroom King tried to inhale. No air came out. No air came back out. Bowser ignored everything else, including the rain now splattering downwards and the storm now in full swing. Lightning strikes everywhere. Slowly pulled his bloody claw out from the king's body, dragging along some bloody flesh with a brutal pop to finish off.
No!
gasped the princess. Before anyone else had time to say anything, Bowser wound up his most brutal slice of the night. It was a simple, short, and sweet compact swing, one that everyone heard decapitate the former Mushroom King. In the dark of the night, King Toadstool's head rolled sideways on the top of the castle, a continuously gushing flow of blood spilling from its neck, which ended up quickly washed away by the rain, which was absolutely pouring down. Processing, trying to remember the rules regarding a king's defeat in battle in the Mushroom World. Bowser recalled said rules before everyone else did. And that's Bowser.
How's your line?
Stop.
Look, why do you talk when it's not your line? When your line comes up, you don't say anything.
What?
Luigi, say it instead.
What were you doing the whole time?
Nothing.
Bruh,
Oh my
anyway, it's your
God.
line. It's your line now.
Where?
He was-
Okay, I'll reread what I said to give you a minute. Nobody spoke for a few seconds. Their brains were still processing, trying to remember the rules regarding a king's defeat in battle in the Mushroom World. Bowser recalled said rule before anyone else it did.
You know what? Fuck it, I'll do it. Looks like you sorry pack of motherfuckers now.
清汤透气，旁透水透气。
This snake was jerking off.
Nah.
Compared to the noise he was making earlier.
Nah.
It wouldn't be the first time you've done this.
No, dude.
At that,
Neko
Bowser's
Pyro's too
arm,
good.
bruh. At that, Bowser's army erupted into a series of cheers and dance moves to celebrate. They had finally done it. The Mushroom Kingdom was theirs. As for the Mushroom Kingdom residents, none of them could possibly have looked more hopeless. Peach, Luigi, Yoshi, and most of the members of the army, well, the 1/4 of the army that hadn't been horrifically killed, were already sobbing wrecks. Mario knelt down on one knee and stopped resisting. His hammer bounced weakly off the floor as his fist unclenched it. And Toad, he just looked up, clearly saddened, and yet looked like he still had a bit more fight left.
This isn't over.
He murmured silently, but it was. Bowser relished the scene, sucking in all the joys for as long as he
They
could.
can't hear me right
He
now,
could've-
but dude,
He said a particularly
I'm gonna
badass
tell you
line,
guys something.
but for now,
These
he was
people out here
content.
are fucking
He'd simply
insane,
folded his
dude.
arms and glaring
These
down
people
at all
out
his
here
warriors.
are literally insane.
Who only
these
saw his
people
badass
are,
silhouette
like,
staring
I
down
don't
at
know-
them. And that was it. On this very day,
This
the
very
history of
day,
the kingdom we all
the
know and
balls
love
and the
was flipped around
jaws,
entirely.
And
There was nothing more
everyone
anyone in the
knows
kingdom could do.
what we don't
By
know,
now,
man.
on the blood and gut-stained
the
battlefield of
guts
suffering
of
and total woe, as the worst rainstorm or thunderstorm combination to ever befall the land in a very long while, everyone had realized that, yep, cry my little lambkins. Bowser got out his walkie-talkie.
The castle.
Hey, what's going on?
What?
Snake, are you gonna read your line?
Maybe.
Fine.
Oh yeah, you do it.
Somebody. Okay, I'll do it in Chinese again. No, you know
I could do it. I could do it. I could do it.
Okay, you do it. You do it.
Alright, everyone at the castle, come here. Bring the party equipment and the doom ship. We got another kingdom to add to our arsenal here. We're gonna celebrate as only the mighty Koopa clan can. What kingdom? Why? Only the fucking Mushroom Kingdom.
For
Wow.
extra
Wow.
emphasis, Bowser slammed his walkie-talkie on the ground and resumed laughing. Cry. That's all you can do. This was his kingdom, his land. He would do all he could for it.
My balls
First
are in
step
my
of
jaws.
order, merging it with the Koopa clan. After that, who knows? Bowser was grinning. Just at the mere thought,
No, it can't end like this.
thought Mario.
Not as long as there's still a breath in my body.
He continued.
To be continued with my
Wait.
dick in your jaw.
That was both the shittiest and best experience I had reading a story.
No,
ever.
no, 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 no.
Yeah. Wait, that's
Can we
it?
just like appreciate, dude? Can we just like appreciate the lengths they went to not say like Mario the most iconic video game character in history looked up. Why? Just say his name, Jesus.
I don't
Well,
know what
that
they're
weird
talking
part
about right
where they
now.
said,
This
like-
person is clearly obsessed with Mario, and they also wanted to add that bit of edginess.
I'm
Yeah,
just
also
speaking
that
right
part
now
where he
about
said
a
the
lot of
Mickey
stuff.
Mouse of gaming, I don't know what that means. We're like Luigi.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense.
I guess
Not me, I don't-
Because like Mickey Mouse is very well known or something.
Imagine Luigi just tells Bowser, "It's time to die."
Wait. You know, this entire thing could just be summarized in like Mario just saying, "Oh, should I kill yourself? No."
No,
Okay, so that's
this was
it?
something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
well, no,
something.
there's
Yeah, there's more, but I gotta get new batteries in my mouse because it died halfway through the first chapter. So I
my
can't change
God.
chapters until I get a new battery.
yeah.
Holy shit! There's more. There's more.
Yeah, there's more. There's
Jesus.
3 more
Can we
chapters.
go-
Same
Can we
time
just
tomorrow.
appreciate, guys? Can we just appreciate?
We can read it tomorrow.
Guys, can we just you guys shut the fuck up. Wait, before you go. Can we just like appreciate the guy that made this like his fucking username? BALLZSACK with a Z and an S. Both
That's
of
what
them.
I said. That's what I said.
Master999.
BALLZSACK Master. What's up, guys?
What an
I'm gonna lick
ominous
some dick.
fucking name.
Big back, I gotta get batteries.
Alright,
Are we doing
ProstateExam.com.
the same time tomorrow?
Yeah, same time. Does that work for
Tragic,
everybody else?
heartbreaking tale.
Alright, I'm gonna
Hey.
go and eat then. Because I'm mad hungry.
Wait. He didn't only
What?
make Super Mario's Endgame, he made the greatest event in Smash Brothers history, the ultimate documentary, rated
We-
T.
Oh my
We should do
god.
that one next. We should do that one next after we're done with this
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, I'm gonna go and eat.
Alright, see ya.
Alright.
He's not.
Rated T is teen, which means there's probably
Teen for teen.
the fuck word.
Word. Fuck.
Alright, so you guys ready to do this tomorrow then? Same
Maybe.
time?
Back in time. Back in time for a
Alright.
bit.
Snake, next time, please do not make weird, like, jerking off noises in the background.
Why?
Because it's not good for the, like, audience is gonna be, like, hearing this. They don't want to hear some random guy jerking off some
I
dark
wasn't.
Miss Lesson, Yeah, what were you-
I wasn't doing anything sussy balls, okay? I was doing my
Hey,
own
is the
thing.
recording still going, or is it ended now?
Still going. It's always been going. Damn. Man.
They're hearing this right now.
Yeah, right now.
Alright,
Oh,
I'm
God.
about to monetize this entire video so you can't make any money. Penis.
Oh god, oh god, no. We weren't planning to make money anyways. I never wanted to make money on this channel anyways.
Yeah, this shit.
Right, it was you that said the N-word, Snake. It wasn't us. It was literally you during one of your background rants.
What? I didn't say anything.
No, I said
Toilet.
Snake, not toilet.
Hey, say it
Oh,
again.
oh.
No.
Who said the N-word?
Obama.
Oh, I'm having X. Damn, I'm losing my mind over here.
No one said that.
I already
you guys are
lost
just,
it.
You guys are just imagining anything. Anyways,
I
this
lost
goes-
it so long ago.
This goes out to my. Oh my gosh, playing a beat right now. It's like.
Snake, please tell me, Snake, that the music wasn't overpowering our reading.
It
Please.
might have. It might have. It might have.
Snake.
It might have.
Oh god.
No, I'm just joking with you. I can't tell, but well, I'm gonna. Yo,
What?
guys, I'm gonna head out. I mean, not like really. I mean, like, you know what I mean, man. You know what I mean.